Welcome to the Modernize-or-Die podcast, CFML News Edition, where we keep you up to date with everything going on in the Cold Fusion community. We'll share the latest news on events, releases to engines, frameworks, libraries, and tools, as well as spotlighting quality content from the community. Welcome to the Modernize-or-Die podcast, CFML News Edition. It's August 31st. 2021, and we're up to episode 117. I'm Gavin Pickett, and this week I have Eric Peterson with me. How are you doing, Eric?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me, Gavin.
Yeah, no problem. So, we've got a lot of news today?
Nope. Not really. It's been a pretty quiet week. I'm gonna blame it on back to school.
Yeah, it's a good excuse.
I mean, I feel like I'm gonna be saying we're just getting back into school for the next month and a half or so. So
at least until Christmas.
Exactly, and then it will be getting back from Christmas break, right?
Yep, it's definitely overwhelming, but we're doing it. So
yep.
Cool. Well, you want to thank our sponsors?
Absolutely. Thank you to Ortus Solutions, the makers of ColdBox, CommandBox, ForgeBox, and all the rest of your favorite boxes. You can get back to Ortus Solutions in a few ways. You can like and subscribe these videos on YouTube. You can join up with CFCasts with a paid account and enjoy our new content that is released every week. Right now, you have the awesome opportunity that you can become an Into the Box sponsor. Ooh. Into the Box is coming within a month, and there are still room for some sponsors. You can find out more on intothebox.org. And we have Ortus's latest book, 102 Cold Box Quick Tips and Tricks, up on Gumroad.
Very cool. And of course, we wouldn't be here without our awesome Patreon supporters. So if you want to go over to patreon.com/Ortus Solutions, you can find a good package to help support this podcast and all the other Ortus community projects. We'll tell you a little bit more about that at the end of the show. But if you're a bronze supporter or higher, you get some great perks. And you can actually save annually now as well. So just go on to patreon.com and check that out if you want to financially support Ortus as well. Okay. Well, news and events. Let's get into it. So, of course, ITB is the big one coming here. We got lots of great content. All the speakers and sessions are up on the site. So we're getting pretty excited about that.
Absolutely. You can go check right now which ones that you're going to have to watch later because you can't choose between the two of them.
Yep, for sure. So we have 2 rooms this year. We have Box Trek and Box Wars. So you can pick your flavor. But great content.
Did they put you in the right room, Gavin?
I don't know. I haven't actually looked to see where I'm at yet.
They put you in the Trek room.
They did?
Does that fit you?
I don't know. I like both, to be honest. I'm not one of those people that has to be one or the other.
Hey,
I can appreciate both. So, yeah. But
likewise,
a lot of good content there. A lot of good speakers. We're glad to have everybody here speaking. So, yeah, go check that out, and don't forget to pick up your tickets. And yeah, that's coming up very soon. So, if you have any questions, let us know. Yeah, I know it's a month away, so everyone is freaking out trying to get their stuff written for the the conference. Okay.
At this point, this is more of a reminder for all the speakers. Don't forget, it's less than a month away.
Yep. Okay.
Okay. Well, also, in case you missed it, we had an Ortus webinar last week, CBValidation with Javier Quintero. That is now up for free on CFCasts.com. You can go check it out there.
Very cool. And then, let's see, we also have a couple things coming up soon. So we have a Adobe one-day workshop. It's going to be Adobe Cold Fusion workshop, and they're covering a lot of material start to finish. So if you're new to Cold Fusion or you want to learn some more, it looks like a great one-day workshop. It is in European time. And you can get that on one of the Adobe's websites. I will share that for those watching.
So this is the same workshop they just did this last week. They've scheduled another one coming up on September 22nd.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry. I missed that. So, okay. So they just... Yeah, that's right. August 25th they had it. I thought it was coming up sooner than that. That's why I double took on the date. That's why I sounded like an idiot. So, okay. So I guess they had good reception, and they're going to do another one in September. So... Awesome.
Yeah. The same day in September, but over in the Pacific time zone, we will have a webinar with Mark Takata, Heads in the Cloud, installing Cold Fusion on Azure and AWS. So that will be 9 a.m. Pacific time on September 22nd.
Awesome. And for those who don't know, Adobe has been keeping all their webinar videos up on their Cold Fusion portal. So if you go over to coldfusion.adobe.com and click on webinar, you can see a list of their upcoming webinars here. So they actually have the workshop and the webinar, but you'll see the previous recordings too. So there's quite a few here, and they're take a little bit of time to get them edited and put out there, but there's a lot of good stuff there. They do require you to register to view them, but I think it's just an email sign up, and they want to make sure they know who's watching their video so they can follow up with you later. But they're all there. Okay.
Speaking of lots of great video content, we have some updates on CFCasts for this week.
Cool.
We, of course, have the webinar video that we just talked about on CBValidation. As a reminder, that is free. Don't even need to sign up for an account to watch that one. And we have a few more videos in our Up and Running with Quick series, including the Step 5 and 6 exercises and going over the has-many relationship.
Very cool. Yeah, I definitely want to watch the CBValidation one. I've been doing a lot of that lately on a couple of projects and starting to get some tricky stuff, like the whole required if and looking at the target object and trying to see if this field is checked, then this one's required. If not, it isn't. And if this is checked, then that's got this value or that value. If it's not, it's this. Yeah, let's get some crazy stuff. But it's really cool when I'm using Viewlidate and I have basically almost the exact same code inside my model as well as my view containers, so it's checking on the client side and the server side. A couple of slight variations, but it's pretty similar, so it's pretty cool to have that. So when I just updated one of my bits of validation, I didn't change it in the object itself, and it still gave me an error, so I'm like, double checking. It's good to see. So, yeah, it's very cool. Okay, so conferences and training. So we got one this week, huh? Tomorrow and Thursday.
This is the Spring 1 conference, which is around the Spring Java framework. And of course, built on Java, there's always a lot we can take and learn from there. So you can check that out at spring1.io. This is free and online.
Yep. And it's
all of you that are dealing with Hibernate might also be interested, because I'm pretty sure I saw a few sessions about using Hibernate. So maybe some tips to get you out of some sticky situations you may have there.
Yep, for sure. And then we have Into the Box coming, as we mentioned, September 23rd and 24th, later this month. Live in person in Texas. No workshops, but as we mentioned before, the speakers and schedule is up online. So intothebox.org, you can get all your information and click register to purchase your ticket. Now, we do have a few questions from people asking, are we going to be live streaming the conference? And basically right now, with the in-person, we're going to be recording all the sessions to release later. We'll try and live stream the keynotes. Everyone likes to see the keynotes live streamed. But just to make sure the video quality is good and solid, we usually like to record it all, then we can touch it up before we release it. So at this time, we're not live streaming all the sessions, but we will be recording them to be watched on CFCasts after the fact. So that's the plan as of right now.
And just a reminder that if you have purchased a ticket to Into the Box, you will get access to those recordings as part of your ticket.
Yep, that's right. So you don't have to worry about missing that hard session that you're up against. It's really hard choices a lot of the time. So yeah, I really like the fact that we have them now recorded, so you can watch them as soon as our editors do their thing.
That's right. And if you're still conference hungry, comps.tech has you covered with all sorts of different languages. You can see Into the Box up there right now, and find conferences to your heart's content.
Yep, and sharing my screen for those who want to see. And they have the in-person and online or in-person only. So we added a few filters here to make it better, but you can scroll down and see in lots of different options and locations and languages, etc. So really cool site, and yeah, it's nice to have someplace to go. They used to have a site called Lanyard, and they used to have all the stuff there, and you could go review stuff later. And I don't know what happened to that. I think it shut down, and so it's nice to have somewhere to go find all the tech conferences again.
Yeah.
Okay. So next up, we have our blogs, tweets, and videos of the week, and it's a pretty short week, like you said.
Yeah, in fact, if it wasn't for Mr. Michael Bourne, we might not have anything to talk about right here.
Yeah, it's a hard to believe that we have a week where there's no Charlie and there's no Ben.
It's back to school. No,
I
don't know.
know.
Who knows?
Do either of them
But
have
yes.
kids at school? I don't think so.
That's a good question. You
Anyway.
can still use the excuse. It's fine. So yeah, Michael Bourne had a couple of things this week. First up, a blog and post in his continuing series. This one about redirecting the Hibernate logs to the command box console.
Ooh.
So if you, like us, love using command box for all your server needs, and you check out the command box server log, you would not be seeing all of the Hibernate logs going through there, which would be very sad. And so here, Michael takes us through how to configure the Hibernate logger to first send debug logs, and then 2, to redirect that to the command box log. Some pretty neat Java kung fu going on here for Michael, so definitely check out the blog post for all those code snippets.
Yeah, I'm just scrolling through for those who are watching the video, and yeah, there's quite a lot of stuff there. And yeah.
So I find this interesting because I have often thought that Hibernate's error messages leave a lot to be desired, and it looks like most of it was being thrown out into some log that never got logged to me. So if this helps you get better information out of Hibernate, let's make this the default.
Yeah, all power to you, because you need it. I think it's great when it works. It's just when it doesn't, you're like, uh-oh, now what?
Right.
Yeah. Man, I've had some weird ones with Hibernate where everything looked like it saved, but after the fact, when it flushed it to the database afterwards, it would have an error message at the database level, and it just basically just didn't commit anything. And so you'd think everything was good. You would check them objects in memory. You assume that if it's in memory and it's working and Hibernate had no problem, it was good, but it would go to the next page and the object would be not saved. And it took for the longest time to figure out that basically there was like a length on one of the variables that I hadn't set as a maximum length, and if it had too much, it would just basically blow up when it tried to actually save it to the disk. But everything in memory looked good, so I was like, it was the hardest thing to debug in the world, because you basically couldn't debug it in ColdFusion because it wouldn't do it until you flushed it.
Right.
Anyways, sorry, me just whining about histories and pain points.
That's fine. We got time for you, Gavin.
And David said in the chat, Hibernate is the most frustrating ORM he's ever used. That's not hard, but how many have you used? I know that Transfer was the one that Mark Mandel wrote before Hibernate came in and stuff, and a lot of people used to use that. I didn't actually have any experience beforehand, so. Anyways, moving on. What else do we have from Michael?
We have a tweet, actually, so it's not very long, but it shows a couple of code samples and says, it's pretty awesome how simple and powerful integration testing is with ColdBox and TestBox. Are these tests stupidly simple or simply stupid? I'm going to go for stupidly simple. Maybe not even stupidly. Beautifully simple.
Yeah.
I am a big fan of integration tests in general and ColdBox's integration tests specifically. There's 3 lines in each of his tests, and they are testing a whole slew of behavior, which is great in my opinion, because if he needs to change the implementation details of anything in there, he doesn't have to change his test. That's why I like to avoid mocking when all possible, because that just means that whenever I change that implementation detail, I'm also changing all my tests.
Yeah.
So yeah, we'll have that tweet in the show notes so you can check out the code attached. And if you too want to write amazing test like that, you should check out our testing courses on CFCasts and also get on the ColdBox train.
Yep, for sure. I mean, we definitely tie a lot of things into TestBox that obviously make it work with ColdBox so much easier. I mean, you can do integration testing with anything, but when you're using a framework, there's little things that happen in the framework that is hard to mock or hard to test around, and so that's why we spend so much time and build all these little tools into TestBox to make it easier for you. So you can do it with anything, but yeah, it just makes it easier with ColdBox. So okay, so what do we got next?
We can talk about the jobs that were posted this week. We have 6 new jobs this week.
Very cool.
We have 3 in the United States. Senior Cold Fusion developer at Windsor Mill, Maryland, Colon, Pennsylvania, and Oak Ridge, Tennessee. We have 1 in Ottawa, Canada, 1 in London, England, a contract position, and then a junior web developer. I thought it was fun to see junior instead, because most of ours say senior.
Yep.
In India. So those are the 6 new ones, and of course there are 178 positions currently on getcfmljobs.com right now.
Yeah. Remember, if you want to post, it's free there, but it does scrape most of the major providers of jobs out there. I do like it because I see them pop up on Get CFML Jobs. They usually show up in the CFML and the Cold Fusion hashtags, I believe. So pretty cool to see those. And I know there's a few people still working Cold Fusion looking for jobs. It's good to see a good number of them are showing up there as well. So give you plenty of options still. Okay. Well, we are moving along pretty good. So let's take a little bit of time to talk about probably one of your favorite, well, maybe not your favorite thing, but this ForgeBox module of the week.
Yeah, I actually was surprised. I don't think we've ever covered this one, but I came across it preparing the notes for this. There was a tweet from somebody asking if anybody had made a semantic version library in CFML, and before I could jump in, I saw that and I'm like, oh, I know one. And of course I jumped in and Brad had already responded. And this is the semantic version library by Ortus Solutions, but mostly by Mr. Brad Wood. And it provides npm-style semantic versioning. In fact, it adheres exactly to the npm spec if you go over to their website. Lets you see if a version number satisfies a certain range. It lets you compare ranges so you can sort by them. This is what we use at ForgeBox to make sure that when you ask to install a package down in command box, we're giving you the one that satisfies that range. So, and this is maybe one of the best examples of like the don't reinvent the wheel. Like, this is not easy stuff when you go look at the spec, especially when you get into pre-release versions. Those things are bonkers. And so please, like, you don't have to use ours, but use something. Save yourself all that time. Ours is pretty good.
Yeah, like you said, over on semver.org, they have the semantic versioning specification, and then it's pretty detailed.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I know, and not everybody uses it, just so you know. Sometimes you'll see stuff out there that might be Semver-like, but it isn't. And I think Lucy's a perfect example of they don't use Semver perfectly. Like, they don't do major, minor, patch.
I believe theirs is, I might get the naming wrong, but it's like paradigm, major, minor kind of thing.
Yeah, and they do builds with dots instead of pluses or something when they make them downloadable or something like that. It's a little different.
Yeah, it fits more of the Java versioning pattern than the npm style. So
yeah, for sure. But yeah, it's nice. I mean, you got some really nice functions in there for sure. Brad did a lot of work to get that working. Without it, ForgeBox and command box's package management would be a nightmare.
That's right.
So,
one fun extra bit, it's not a ForgeBox module, but every time we talk about semantic versioning, I think of Postgres, which has the concept of database extensions that you can install in custom data types.
Mm-hmm.
So whereas columns can be, integer, varchar, text, all that, you can install your own. And there is a semantic versioning or a semver column type you can install. And the main benefit then is you can order by that column type, and it will do the correct semantic versioning ordering in the database.
It's pretty neat.
So, plug for Postgres there.
Yeah, Postgres got something for everything. I love it.
That's true.
And then Scott Steinbeck will actually be talking about that at Into the Box. So, and he just said, "Eric, stop stealing my talking points for the conference."
I am teasing how amazing Postgres is, and you should come and hear Scott talk about it in detail.
Yeah. Me and Scott quite often have a let's talk about Postgres talk. I've been using Postgres on a couple of projects lately and dealing with all sorts of fun things, and I'm learning about lots of stuff I've never used before. And the cool thing is, now I'm learned about it, I realize that, hey, my SQL can do some of this stuff too. Not all of it, but some of it. So expanding my database capabilities. Okay, well, that wraps up our ForgeBox module of the week. Now let's talk about our VS Code hint, tip, and trick of the week. And this one's something we actually shared a while ago, but like you mentioned before the show, it's changed a lot, right?
Yeah, so back in 2019, we talked about the Live Share extension from Microsoft.
I think it was a beta actually at that point too.
I think you're right. This was an extension to be able to see the same code in your VS Code window as somebody else, edit it at the same time, kind of like Google Docs for coding. Well, it's grown a lot since then, and today we're going to link to the extension pack, which includes both Live Share and a Live Share audio plugin. So now you can also share servers via port sharing, like your local servers. You can share your terminal, either read-only or read-write. You can have chat channels, kind of like Slack, or audio channels like Zoom, because you already are seeing their code, right? So you can do everything. You don't need any other programs running. You can just install Live Share. They got like a contacts list now. I mean, you never need to leave VS Code. You install that. You install the GitHub extension. Like, there's no need for a web browser except to test your website. So...
Yeah, that's really cool. I mean, I really like it. It's definitely come a long way. It was pretty useful to start with, but it's just getting better and better. So, it's definitely very cool. And I even used this in a workshop before. I actually did a live share for people to see my code so they could actually copy paste code, and that as I taught the workshop, they were able to like share my code. It was pretty cool, different. So,
my favorite thing about the Live Share over things like Zoom, or even some pairing programs like Tuple, is that it keeps all my settings and shortcuts.
Yeah.
So I am very tied to some shortcuts I've configured, and if I ever have to use somebody else's computer, I'm so slow. And I'm like bringing up the debug panel on accident because I've switched that shortcut, things like that. And I love that in Live Share, like their shortcuts are theirs and my shortcuts are mine, and we can all do our favorite things in the code editor and still share it.
And the sidebar's on the right side for you, not the left side, right?
Yeah, yep, that's right. I am one of those sidebars on the right, people. But everyone can choose. It's beautiful.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. Yep, I definitely recommend that one. It's good. Even if you don't use it all the time, it's still good now and then. I know we were doing it for our, just group sessions. We were basically working with a client, and they would step in and do some queries, or we were doing something else, and we'd have 3 or 4 of us on the same call talking stuff through, and then working on stuff. It was really cool. Definitely a good work experience. So miss those days.
Me too. Let's do more of them.
Yep. Need to get back into those other projects once I get out of my my dungeon, working on my big release coming up here. Okay. Well, chat looks pretty busy in here. See a few people are talking about ORMs, and they say Quick is the best. But Dave was saying he's used Sequelize, Quick, JPA, Hibernate. I've heard of Sequelize too. That's a JavaScript one, I think, right?
I am not sure.
I didn't even know they had one when I was showing people something about Quick one time. It's like,
Yeah.
oh, it's just like the one in JavaScript. And I thought they said it was SQLized, but maybe not.
Yeah,
But
SQLize is a JavaScript one. It looks like.
okay, David's saying, yep.
So,
Yeah,
yeah,
never done that either.
my big one, of course, is Laravel, the PHP framework. So that's a lot of what Quick is based on as well.
Yep.
So
Again, no point reinventing the wheel. If it's got a nice
yeah,
platform and structure, why bother? Because yeah, naming things is hard. Making decisions about things is hard. Making it work,
and
not so hard.
it's been nice to be able to look at source code from there, or even source code from other ORMs. Like I've looked into what's the it's not coming to me, the Python one. I'll think about it as soon as we're done here. But being able to look in to see how that all of these other places solve the same problems that I'm needing to figure out. So
Yeah, no, it's definitely a plus. So we can learn from other languages. Okay, so last but not least, we want to thank our Patreon supporters. So these individuals are personally supporting our open source initiatives, and of course we do have businesses doing that as well, especially when we have our annual memberships where you pay for the entire year and you get 10% off. A lot of people like that because at the end of the year, if they've got certain budget left and they don't want to waste it, they can throw it at us for that. And no one likes monthly payments if you're a business, apparently. So you can do that, pay for the year. But yeah, all these things help us do this podcast, but also create things like CommandBox, ForgeBox, ColdBox, TestBox, and all the infrastructure that's required to have ForgeBox actually up and running on the web. And so right now we have 39 people paying all of the podcasts. So 100% of the podcast is funded, and we're 41% of the way towards covering the ForgeBox site, which includes all the public free repos up on S3, etc. And the servers to maintain it and try and keep it up. Because trust me, one awesome thing about ForgeBox is that a lot of people are using it now. The bad thing is when it goes down, a lot of people are not happy now. But it means we know it's down and we know people are using it. So yeah, a lot of time and energy goes into making sure ForgeBox stays up, so all our build processes everywhere are working. But yep, so some perks. Basically, if you're a bronze package and up, you get that ForgeBox Pro membership subscription and that CFCast subscription as a perk. All Patreon supporters have that profile badge on the community website and a private forum access on the Ortus community website too. So a lot of cool little perks there, and it all goes away. So, sorry, I just looked up and saw the chat. It says it goes down. He never noticed. So Daniel's saying that ForgeBox doesn't go down. So sorry, I got worried for a minute. Like I thought it said it was down. I was like, uh-oh. Distraction. Sorry about that. But yeah, so a lot of great support is making it possible for us to do these things like this podcast, and so we want to thank you all. Eric, do you want to do the honor of reading the names today?
Sure thing. Thank you to John Wilson at Synaptrix, Don Bellamy, Eric Kaufman, David Bellinger, Dean Monder, Gary Knight, Giancarlo Gomez, Jonathan Perrett, Mario Rodriguez, Jeffrey McGee with Sunstar Media, Yogesh Mathur, Joseph Lamery, Ben Nadal, Brett DeLine, Carl Von Stetten, Charlie Earhart, Dan Card, Daniel Garcia, Didier Lisnicki, Edgardo Cabezas, Jan Yannick, Jason Diger, Jeff McLean, Jeremy Adams, Jonas Erickson, Jordan Clark, Kai Koenig, Laxma Titrahadi, Leon Saramelis, Matthew Darby, Matthew Clemente, Mingo Hagen, Patrick Flynn, Ross Phillips, Scott Steinbeck, Sean Oden, Stephanie Monge, and Stephen Klotz.
Yep, thank you to each and every one of you. We appreciate you. Your name should be up on the Ortus Solutions /about-us/sponsors page, so you can see everybody there. And again, patreon.com/Ortus Solutions to see all the awesome packages and sign up if you would like to support us on Patreon. So looks like a pretty active chat today for a not too busy week. But we thank you everybody for joining us. Happy end of August, and September's here. So hopefully everyone's ready for ITB, and hopefully we'll see you all in Texas in a few weeks.
See you later.
Have a good one, everybody. Show notes for this episode can be found at cfmlnews.modernizeordie.io, where you can also subscribe to your favorite podcast player like Spotify or iTunes. We also have the link to YouTube to find more videos just like this. The music used in this podcast is under a royalty-free license from Sound.com and Blue Tree Audio.